You probably know me. Just Zuri. My face is on buses, my voice is in your headphones, and I'm the one who sings those songs that make you feel uplifted. That's the word the critics always use. Ethereal, supernatural, a voice that channels something pure. For a long time, I believed it. I'm 25, and I've spent the last 10 years living a life that isn't real. A life scheduled in 15-minute blocks by people with clipboards. Zuri, 2 p.m. is the authenticity interview with Vogue, 2:30 is the meet and greet, 3 p.m. is the vocal steam. But the feeling? That part was real. Standing on stage, a stadium full of lights shining back at me, that's my home. I genuinely love those people. When I sing, it feels like I'm tapping into this well of light. The music just comes to me. It always has. I'd sit at the piano and the songs would just pour out, fully formed, like I was just writing them down, not writing them. I called it my inspiration. My label called it a brand identity. That's why I decided to rebrand. My label freaked out. "Zuri," my manager said, his eyes wide with panic, "you're at your peak. You're a goddess. You're an inspiration. Why change a winning formula?" But I had to. I was suffocating under the weight of the Zuri brand, the perfect, uplifting, ethereal goddess. I was desperate to prove that underneath all the glitter and the marketing, there was just me, a 25-year-old woman who loves bad TV and eats cereal for dinner. This new album, this whole new era, was supposed to be my declaration of authenticity. My one goal was to show the world, and maybe myself, that I was the talent, that the gift was mine. That was the plan. Then I sat down to write the first authentic song. I cleared my schedule, no handlers, no co-writers, just me and my piano. And nothing came. I mean, nothing. Just dead, flat silence. The inspiration wasn't just dry, it was like it had never been there. I sat at that piano for 3 days. The silence in my head was so loud, it was screaming. The inspiration was gone. And that's when the real fear started. It wasn't the normal fear, the kind I've lived with my whole career, the fear of irrelevance. That one's a killer, don't get me wrong. The thought of being a "where are they now?" a forgotten nobody, it's kept me working 20-hour days for a decade. It's the background hum of my entire life. You're only as good as your last hit, and you're one bad album away from a VH1 special. This was new. This was worse. This was the ice-cold terror that my authentic self, the real Zuri I was so desperate to show everyone, was a complete and utter failure. That she had no talent. That she was nobody. It shattered me. Because if the music wasn't coming from me, where had it been coming from all these years? That's when I first heard it. Not music, not inspiration, a whisper from the darkest corner of the recording studio, just where the light couldn't touch. It was a dry, scraping sound, like old paper. It said it missed me, and it was ready to make a new deal.
I ran. I left the studio, walked straight past my assistant Diana without a word, and went to the one place I was supposed to be Zuri no matter what. A charity gala. A room full of cameras, rich people, and fake smiles. My comfort zone, believe it or not. I thought I could just flip the switch, be the brand. The light was just flickering. I just needed an audience to turn it back on. I got in the limo. Diana was looking at me, her face all pinched with worry. Zuri, are you okay? You look pale. Remember the talking points for tonight. The new album is raw and accessible, okay? Just smile. You'll be fine. I just nodded. I couldn't even talk. I felt flat, empty. The hum I always felt under my skin, that energy, that inspiration, it was just gone. I stepped onto the red carpet. The sound of the cameras, a sound I usually loved, just felt aggressive, too loud. A reporter from Variety, a shark named Finley I'd charmed a dozen times, shoved a microphone in my face. Zuri, the new single, it's a different direction. It's not what we're used to. What's the message? I opened my mouth. I had the answer. The pre-planned, label-approved, authentic answer, and just static. You know that charisma I told you about, the ethereal quality? It wasn't just in the music. It was how I talked, how I charmed rooms, how I made every single person feel like they were the only one there. It was my superpower, and it was gone. I fumbled, I stammered, I said something about raw expression and finding the truth. My voice sounded thin, reedy. I sounded like a high school kid giving a book report. Finley's smile tightened. The look they gave me, it wasn't just confusion, it was pity. That was the kill shot, the, oh bless her heart, the magic's gone look. The air around me felt dead. The light I always carried with me was out. For the first time in my career, I was just a nervous, talentless girl in an expensive dress. That was the incident. The sudden, awful realization that the whisper in the studio wasn't just about the music. It was about all of me. I wasn't just failing to write, I was failing to be. I fled. I literally turned and ran off the red carpet, leaving Finley with their mouth open and Diana calling my name. I got in the limo and just said, home. The ride was in total, crushing silence. I was already a headline. Zuri's red carpet meltdown. My career was bleeding out on the floor of a limo, and I had no idea how to stop it. I went home and locked myself in my bathroom. My new single was free-falling on the charts. My social media was a dumpster fire. The fan accounts, the ones who used to call me queen and goddess, were now just confused. What happened to the Zuri we loved? This new song is so empty. She's finally flopping. My tour manager had left 2 messages, which was code for we are about to cancel the tour. The fear of irrelevance was choking me. I was desperate. I was so desperate to feel that power again, that light. I gripped at the marble counter, stared at my reflection, and tried to force it. Come on, Zuri, I whispered. My reflection looked pale, scared. You're still in there. You're a star. You're a... My reflection blinked. I hadn't. I froze. My heart didn't just pound. It felt like it stopped. I leaned closer, my breath fogging the glass. My eyes... They looked back at me, but they weren't mine. They were ancient and cold. So cold. Then, for just a second, the whole picture changed. It wasn't my minimalist white marble bathroom anymore. The reflection was dark, stone, and lit by fire. Braziers, not my soft LED lights. The air in the reflection looked thick with smoke.
And the face staring back? It wasn't me. It was a woman cloaked in shadows, her features sharp and commanding. Heavy, cruel-looking jewelry hung from her neck and ears, glinting in that imaginary firelight. A necklace of dark, engraved stones, maybe obsidian. She was terrifying, and she was smirking. Her eyes, God, her eyes, they glowed with this cold, possessive, knowing intelligence, a deep ruby red, like she owned me. I screamed and fell back, crashing into the glass shower door. The sound of my own panic was sharp and real. When I looked up, heart hammering so hard I thought I'd be sick, it was just me. Just pale, terrified Zuri, breathing hard in her empty bathroom, my reflection staring back in wide-eyed horror. Denial. That's the first stop, right? I told myself I was cracking. I was overworked, stressed about the album, just having a breakdown. My doctor offered me pills. My label offered me a rest. But the silence in my head just got louder. The tour was officially canceled. The critics were calling me a one-hit wonder. My whole life, my authentic life, was over in less than a month. The fear of irrelevance had won. It had burned my entire world to the ground. And all that was left was the other fear, the new one, the one in the mirror.
I found myself back at the studio. It was 3 a.m. I hadn't slept. I used my key. The place was dark, silent. I walked through the dark, past the platinum records on the wall. Her records, I realized, not mine. They were trophies from a life I'd only pretended to live. I stood in front of that one dark corner of the vocal booth, the one that always felt colder than the rest of the room. My hands were shaking. I was at the edge. I could walk away, be forgotten, and live the rest of my life as a nobody, haunted by what I'd lost. I could be the girl in the Where Are They Now special. Or I could ask. This was the point of no return. The moment I chose. Okay, I whispered to the shadows. My voice was wrecked. I can't do this without you. The air in the booth dropped 20 degrees. I could see my breath. What are you? The reply wasn't a whisper this time. It was a flood. It didn't come from the corner. It came from inside my head. A vision so clear it was more real than the studio around me. I saw her. Malakaros. The face from the mirror. She was standing on a black ziggurat, arms raised to a blood-red sky. Thousands of people were chanting below her, their faces blank, hypnotized. The sound was a low, guttural thrum that I could feel in my own chest. The air smelled metallic, like old blood, and sweet like burning incense. She was a priestess, a queen, a god. She turned her head, her glowing red eyes locking directly onto me, through time, through space, right into my soul. She didn't just look at me. She assessed me. She saw all my tiny, pathetic fears, all my desperate need to be loved, to be seen, to be relevant. And then she spoke, her voice filling my mind, ancient and powerful and full of a terrible, cold purpose. I am the one who sings, she said. I am the well. I am the light you stole. And you, little star, are my new temple. It is time to open the doors. My blood went ice cold. This wasn't a whisper from a corner. This was an invasion. This was a voice inside my skull. I stumbled back, clutching my head. The vision of the ziggurat so real I could smell the smoke. No, I gasped. Get out! Get out of my head! I tried to run. I really did. I turned for the studio door, my one escape, my one last chance to just be Zuri, the failed, authentic girl. The voice in my head just laughed. It was a dry, ancient sound, like stones scraping together. Run where, little star? Back to this? The vision of the ziggurat vanished. It was replaced by something 1,000,000 times worse. I saw a small, beige apartment. I saw me, but I was 45. My hair was thin. I was working at a rental car counter, wearing a cheap polyester blue vest that smelled like industrial soap. A young couple came up, and the guy squinted at me. "Hey, didn't you used to be Zuri?" And the me in the vision just gave this horrible, tired, empty smile. I get that a lot. The nothingness, the pity, the absolute suffocating terror of being a "didn't you used to be?" That was it. That was the authentic future I was so desperate for. A forgotten, talentless nobody. The vision snapped, and I was back in the studio, breathing hard, tears streaming down my face. I was staring at my reflection in the soundproof glass of the vocal booth, and she was there, staring back. Malakaros, her cold, glowing eyes, her cruel jewelry. She looked satisfied. "That is the truth of you," her voice said, softer now, almost seductive. "That is what you are without me. A hollow, silent, forgotten thing." She held out a hand in the reflection. "Or we can sing again. We can sing songs that will make the world kneel. They will never, ever forget you. All you have to do is open the door. Let me in. Willingly." This was the choice. Be a forgotten nobody, or be a monster's temple. My fear of irrelevance, it was a physical thing, a monster on its own, and it was bigger than my fear of her. I looked at the empty, silent piano, the symbol of my failure. Then I looked at her. My hand, shaking, lifted to the cold glass. "Yes," I whispered. My voice didn't even sound like mine. "Just make the silence stop." The second my fingers touched the glass, it wasn't a reflection anymore. It was like I fell through it. It was agonizing. That's the only word. It wasn't blood and guts. It was worse. It was my mind being torn open. My memories, my thoughts, myself, they were all flooded, overwritten. I felt this ancient, cold, powerful consciousness just pour into me. I felt her memories, the ziggurat, the sacrifices, the dark gods she served. I screamed, but I couldn't make a sound. The I that I'd been my whole life, the I who loved bad TV and cereal, she was just dissolving, fading, drowning. And then there was this new feeling, a terrible, wonderful, absolute power.
The silence in my head was gone. It was replaced by music. Dark, ancient music. And we opened our eyes. We were still in the studio, but the studio looked small. The platinum records on the wall looked like cheap plastic toys. A new melody was in our head. It was dark, it was hypnotic, and it was perfect. We walked out of that studio as the sun came up. Zuri was dead. She was a hollow, failed brand, a bad idea. The name just came to us, like the old songs used to. It felt right. CZ Gray. You've probably seen the new tour. It's sold out. It's not in stadiums anymore. It's in old theaters, places with history. I don't wear white dresses and sing uplifting songs anymore. I wear black. I wear silver. My jewelry is heavy. The music? It's different. It's a dark, hypnotic pulse. It's full of chants you don't realize you're singing along to, in a language you don't know but somehow understand. People say I've been reborn, that I've finally found my true self. The critics love it. They call it brave and transcendent. They have no idea. I stand on stage and I look out at the crowd. Their faces are blank. Their eyes are wide. They're all mine. They're all ours. My old fear, the one I lived with every single day, the fear of being irrelevant, it's gone forever. I will never be forgotten. I just had to kill the one thing I was so desperate to find, my authentic self. Turns out my authentic self was a nobody, and that was the one thing I just couldn't live with.
There are more scares to share. Press the like button and subscribe so you don't miss a single terrifying moment. You're helping me investigate the deepest, darkest corners to bring you stories that haunt your dreams.